Welcome to MarTech Heads, the radio show that helps tech marketers stay ahead of the game, hosted by Jeff Sheehan and Sarah Torville.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jeff Sheehan along with Sarah Torville of Media Frenzy Global, and we're the MarTech Heads podcast radio show. And it's been our distinct pleasure to be here at Flip My Funnel here today in Atlanta, Georgia. What an event. It's been phenomenal. And we're having a great time interviewing various people from throughout the marketing and sales professions. So we're joined right now by Brad Gillespie. Brad, the VP of Marketing of SiriusDecisions. Yes, and a real pleasure. And I was wondering, maybe you could talk about yourself and the company just briefly, and then what did you get out of today's Flip My Funnel event? What were some of the key takeaways that you saw?
Sure. So SiriusDecisions is a research and advisory firm that focuses exclusively on the sales, marketing, and product functions within an organization, and then exclusively in B2B. Mm-hmm. So we don't work with consumer companies. We don't work with most of our client base is in high tech, manufacturing, healthcare, and financial services. And so our research is really to help those three functions of sales, marketing, and product perform better individually, but then also work better together in creating the alignment between those three functions.
So what type of research do you do then? I mean, tell me, like, who do you, when you're researching, is it qualitative, quantitative research? Where do you gather your findings from?
Yeah, it's both. So we maintain a panel, and we use both our client base as well as the broader market. Mm-hmm. And some of our work is ongoing. Two studies that we have on an ongoing basis that we refresh on about an annual basis are buyer trends. So what is changing in buyer behavior in B2B to help marketers adapt to that changing landscape. And then the economics of sales, marketing, and product alignment. That's a fairly new study for us that will be an ongoing one. So as I mentioned, we want those three functions to perform well individually. And that helps really drive incremental performance. But when they work better cross-functionally, we can see exponential performance improvement. And so what our studies are showing is companies that achieve a level of alignment between those three functions are going to outperform their peers. 19% average growth improvement and 15% average profitability improvement by creating that functional alignment.
So when you say the companies which are going to perform, so they have to be aligning their sales and marketing, and what was
product.
And product, okay. So explain that product element to me then.
So product for us does not mean product development as much as it means go-to-market. And so the ideation and the portfolio of products certainly, and how new products are brought to market and extended into the marketing process and all the way out into field sales.
Okay. So it's taking the product which has already been developed and looking at how you're educating people around that product, promoting the product, launching the product. Is it all those pieces?
It's all those pieces. And the role that product marketing is really the role that we work with most in the product organization, because that's really the glue between the marketing organization and product operations.
So what did you learn today that you think will really tie in with what you're doing?
So it's interesting. Flip My Funnel is an extension of account-based marketing, and it's interesting because account-based marketing has been around for a while.
Correct.
Maybe 10 years. The idea of selling to target accounts or large accounts or named accounts is really what account-based marketing is all about. So here we are in 2015, and we have this new set of tools and technology and data that's now enabling the next wave, the next generation of innovation to happen with marketing to a very finite number of customers. And so it's interesting because what's old is new again. Yeah. And this is one of those cases, I think, where an aspect of marketing is now benefiting from advances in technology.
Yeah, I totally agree, because I spent a number of years in global account management and strategic account management with the company I worked for over 20 years. And again, the tools that are out there now are just absolutely incredible versus what we had. And to really hone in and focus and cultivate the relationships with the respective customers. I think that cultivation is probably the thing foremost of what is coming out of what you're seeing now. And also big data with regard to the amount of data that's available and how you can nurture that.
The data piece can be overwhelming, I think, for a lot of companies. I like to think of it more in terms of small data. The reality is in B2B, the number of variables that are going to affect positively or negatively an outcome in a buying cycle, there aren't that many.
Right.
But it's really understanding which ones are important and understanding what you can do about those variables to improve your probability of having the outcome you want. So it's a very interesting time because we also see this explosion of data. Now the one aspect of big data I absolutely think applies is just the proliferation and the availability of data.
I call it a tsunami, both on the
It
content
is a
side and the
tsunami.
data side. And the winners are going to be the ones who can really manage it and get their arms around it. Otherwise, it's again endless.
Yeah, there's a lot of experimentation going on right now, and a few of the speakers, there's a nice back and forth. Is marketing now pure science? Is it still art and science? I'm firmly in the philosophy that it's art and science, and it always will be.
Yeah.
It's becoming more scientific, and to become more scientific and to continue to improve the way we do these things, we have to continue to experiment and understand what works and what doesn't work. And there's a lot of trial and error that's going on that's feeding the vendor community to really help us bring the right tools to market to inch this thing forward.
So within your research, considering there's at least 1,500 MarTech tools, and as someone said this morning,
2,000 actually. They were saying this
they
morning.
were saying just in this morning in one of our interviews, 4 more would have been created.
Right.
So that's a challenge for a analyst research firm who I'm assuming is expected to be the kind of the expert on understanding what's happening with these tools, how people can leverage them. How does it support adoption rates and accelerating the buying cycle? How do you get your arms around all that?
Yeah, it's not easy.
No.
Our general approach to covering technology is we listen to clients. And once a new technology comes on the radar of a client, and we hear about that technology more than once, it doesn't take many, we know it's time to really add one to the process.
Right.
We do rely on our clients and their experimentation to really help us understand what we need to be paying more attention to.
Yeah.
Once it's on our radar, then the process takes over to really understand and help our clients make decisions on what's best and what's best now, and as opposed to futures. And 1,500 technologies is a lot to sort through. I think the overall approach that most buyers have taken is they must need these things. Marketers are early adopters of stuff in general, and so there's been, I think, quite a bit of lessons learned through failure, which is fine. It helps the whole process produce better product, better technology, better innovation in the long run, and it's a fun place to be in the industry to help be a part of that.
Right.
So based on the fact that you spend time, or your company spends time interviewing the likes of Terminus, I'm sure, because that's a true MarTech platform, and there's lots of them here. We've been interviewing them today. What do you feel? Do you have a view of what do you feel has the greatest potential right now, which is the most disruptive element that you're seeing happening in MarTech?
Yeah, I think the data side of ad tech, MarTech is potentially the most disruptive.
MadTech.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That seems to make sense here. I don't know that this will be the official SiriusDecisions analyst view, but I really like the idea of experimentation, but don't being over-committal to any one track, because that 1,500 companies will recycle over the next 3 to 4 years, and then the next generation of those will be out. And so really understanding the why of the initiative that's to be done, and that extends to what MarTech, ad tech, marketing automation, social listening, social publishing, all those tools have a purpose. Very few companies have done a good job. So this is a news flash that goes back since software was created. Very few companies still today do a great job of adopting and using technology. And so I like the slow approach and really squeezing out the value at each step of the way. I think the data side is potentially the most disruptive.
The predictive element of data.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a skeptic on the ability to predict.
Yeah.
It certainly seems to me to be still in the black box phase of its development.
Yeah.
Models are being created. Some models are very good and they're very thoughtful. How companies will be able to use those models and use the tools. We're still in this, I think, in a very services-heavy side of predictive solutions right now. They're not fully productized yet, and that's fine. That's just part of the cycle. I'm a wait-and-see approach to predictive.
Yeah.
Foundationally, really cool ideas, really cool stuff. It's not quite as mature as, it will be.
We called it fortune telling earlier today. It's like, it feels like people are saying that it's like saying that you can look into the future and tell, and identify who are the customers who are going to buy from you. It's like, really? How? I just find that whole thing
What's interesting is that's juxtaposed with, we want a very human relationship with the company, right?
They don't correlate.
Right? Do they work together?
Yeah.
And that'll be the challenge as those tools and technologies really mature and we really understand what's going to work in a sustainable way, is how do we do that while putting the customer experience at the heart of everything? I don't think that trend is going to go away. I think that's one of the things that in a B2B view of the world we're seeing really translate well from B2C. As consumers, we all have expectations now that are being set by how we shop and how we buy and how we want to consume information in real time. That is translating over into B2B. And how we want to have a relationship with anybody we work with, I think, plays a big role. And so you can't take the art out of that. I don't think we want to. I think that would be a sad day that we took the art of it.
So can you take the research that that SiriusDecisions is doing and apply that within your own company?
Yeah.
In terms of helping you to understand how the buying process and what your customer,
That's exactly our mission internally, is to be the laboratory for what works, what doesn't work. And it's a lot of fun. I was a client of SiriusDecisions at two different organizations and had the benefit of being on that side. And now being on the inside, it's literally like
eating your own dog food, as everyone
drinking your one's own champagne.
Yes,
I like a little better,
than dog food.
but I do feel like I have the Tony Stark warehouse behind me with all the things that I can do, and it's difficult to really prioritize what big projects to work on, but it's fun.
Just Joseph Jaffe was saying earlier, the author of the Fund, and we interviewed him earlier, and he was saying, the companies which can truly represent that, like for example, he talked about Marketo and tools like that, automation tools. They are now becoming so good at their own marketing because they have to show that they're using the tools and that they are exceptional at how they do it. And it's the same thing for yourselves, and same thing for my agency. If we can't show that we know how to communicate and engage with people, then how can we expect to be able to tell our clients
that's the bar, and that should be the bar.
But it's not always easy to get there. It's like,
it's not. We have the same, as it turns out, we have the same challenges as any other company. How about that? And but we embrace it.
So what do you see happening? What are some of the things, the trends of the future that you're seeing right now?
Just big trends. So I think we're going to see much more attention paid to understanding customer lifetime value, so that companies are going to get smarter about who they want to pursue as a new account relationship. Our ability to measure everything across the business, not just sales and marketing, but customer health, financial performance, is increasing every day. And so the ability for an organization to be smart about what makes for a good business relationship or a bad one will also improve. And I think that's going to extend all the way back to brand and marketing and sales, and that concept of flipping the funnel. That's where it really starts to play out, is companies that get smart about that earlier are going to have some competitive advantage over those that don't.
In this whole social media area, there's very little talk, quite honestly, about customer lifetime value, customer retention, and that. We've had some discussions earlier today with regard to that, but it's not the main focus of so many social media practitioners. And that whole emphasis has to change. Look at the customer lifetime value. That's what it's all about, because that's where majority of profits are going to come from, your revenue growth, the cross-selling opportunities, upselling, and everything else.
From the existing customer
Right.
base, yeah, the retention.
I believe that,
Yeah.
and I believe in listening to the customer as your innovation cycle.
Yeah.
Correct.
Your current customers
agree
are
with
the
that,
best
yeah.
way to really get a sense of what should come next, and that requires you to pick the right customers and the
Correct.
right
In
the
markets
first
to
place.
pursue.
They can help you develop new products. They can help you establish joint ventures, or help you with other things.
It's both a virtuous cycle
Right.
as well as a potentially destructive one. So
Right.
So SiriusDecisions, how long has it been operational for?
yeah, so we're about 10 years old.
Okay.
Our two founders were former executives at Gartner.
Okay. Oh.
Yep. One in
Okay.
the marketing organization, one in the sales organization. And as the story goes, they were kind of sitting around one day, and they realized there wasn't a resource like Gartner
Yeah.
for what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
And that was the motivation to go start Sirius. And it started as a consulting company, and from those first few consulting clients came insights. And then we began to build a benchmark of data way back then. And one of the very early kind of innovations to the market was this idea that marketing spend and marketing performance has been benchmarked, and it should be benchmarked so that marketing leaders could have
Well, Brad, I really appreciate it, and I know Sarah does as well, the time that you spent
Sure.
with us this
Right.
afternoon. And it's been a long day for all of us here, but exciting day actually with Flip My Funnel.
Yeah.
Phenomenal event, and certainly it's been a real pleasure interviewing such late in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm glad
like
to
I
know
appreciate
that
that.
there's a research firm focusing on these challenges, which we're trying to get our head wrap,
There
wrapped
absolutely
around.
is.
So
We are
need to
very
leverage
narrow and
that
very
more.
deep.
Yeah,
And
that's great to know
great
that,
stuff,
because
yeah.
this is a perfect location for you guys. All these MarTech tools cropping up in the area. So
Yeah, it's a great time to be in this space.
definitely. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Appreciate it.